Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the B Leaguers podcast. We made it through Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting on the new year 2019 right around the corner. My name is Stokes. I'm joined with a very sick and ill Flynn, but he's still making it. Flynn, how you doing, buddy?
I'm alive. I'm trying to be alive anyway. I'm working on it. As you can tell, I sound like pure fucking garbage. But I'm trying to grind through because we missed last week because we're idiots, and then Christmas. So it's been a hot fucking minute for us, and I'd really like to get back into the groove. As you hear me sniffle.
Yeah, I just got a random FaceTime call during that from my friend that's super intoxicated, and she goes, "Sam, I'm super drunk. Hold on. And it just hangs up. I was like, oh, okay. Like that. All right. So yeah,
Good talk.
that's basically it. Flynn's sick as shit. I'm getting random FaceTime calls. Also, I'm kind of intoxicated because I went to a microbrew place with my family because my grandparents are leaving tomorrow. So went there. I got my grandfather extremely intoxicated. I drank 5 or 6 pints of microbrew beer, which, if you guys don't know, has a higher alcohol content than regular beer. So I'm pretty lit right now, and now I'm drinking Guinness at home. So it's a very good night.
It's a fun episode
Yeah.
of the podcast. I'm drugged out of my mind on cold meds. You're just happily drunk. There's different reasons for our intoxication, and we're both suffering internally, but we're going to do the podcast anyway.
Exactly. These are the cold hard facts, ladies and gentlemen. This is life.
I apologize for the sniffles. I will be hot muting for any kind of like sneezes or coughs or vomiting, but I will not be hot muting for the sniffles because I want to be able to breathe. And every time I try to breathe, I need to be able to talk. So apologies for the sniffles up front, but let's get into this. The first topic just happened a couple hours ago, so this will be some fresh fucking content news.
Keep it going. She's calling me back. God damn it.
Oh my god. All right. I'm going to hold on to this one, I guess. Some fresh content news for you guys. Because we've been away, we were going to talk about some really old and some really general ass shit. But I guess for right now, we can talk about some new news that just broke on Twitter. Elephant Gang. K9 is gone from Elephant Gang. He was reportedly voted off. And now I'm getting fucking Twitter notifications. Ugh. Alright, it's all a mess. The whole fucking show's a mess. What else is new? Why the fuck do you people listen to us? K9 gone from Elephant Gang. Replacement is yet to be seen, although we kind of know what's going on in that department, and that'll be a shit show as soon as that goes public. We will break down everything that's going to go on with Elephant Gang.
God.
Are you good?
She goes, Sam, I have a nosebleed. I was like, okay.
How much blow were you doing?
She goes, I'm really drunk. I think I'm dying. And I go, you're not dying. You just have a nosebleed. You're going to be okay. She goes, okay. All right. Well, if it stops, I'll let you know. But if I die, I just want to let you know that I love you. I was like, okay, Rachel, I love you too. She goes, okay, goodbye. And it just hangs up.
Oh my god.
Anyways, that was me making sure my drunk friend was okay, guys. But anyways, yes, as Flynn was saying, Elephant Gang, K9 left. More than likely, Elephant Gang dissolving or just picking up the pieces and trying to move on. We really don't know yet. We do know that Trippin was also, flirting with the idea of also retiring. So he could be completely done with the Siege scene, whereas K9 does appear to be looking for another team.
Yeah, and the big question I wanted, like, because you brought up the retirements and stuff, and the big topic I wanted to tackle, because we are both Challenger League casters, is, and this is a conversation I had with my mother the other night on the drive down to my family's house in my hometown, and she had some pretty interesting thoughts about it. So anyway, we're gonna have this conversation again, but with you, Stokesifer.
Thank you, Flennison.
I'm curious because we've seen this a lot lately where the Challenger League grind, with it being a 6-month season, but also not happening, like it doesn't even participate, like it doesn't even take place for 3 months of it. And then the schedule is so condensed at the end, like Pro League will be, and we'll get to that. Do you honestly think that Challenger League is worth the grind right now in its current format? And if not, what do you think could be done to improve it?
Honestly, with the amount of practice that goes into Challenger League, with the only thing being that you have a shot to get into the playoffs in order to make it to Pro League, and relatively speaking, you only have one shot. I mean, it's either you beat the Pro League team, being the top team in Challenger League, you beat the Pro League team, you get in off of that relegated spot, and then they go down to face the other Challenger League team, and then they lose. Then the other Challenger League team gets in, so you can end up getting 2 Challenger League teams in. Just depends. But as of right now, with the amount of time and everything, because like guys, honestly, like recently, I have stopped playing comp. Like it has not been that far off that I, have not played comp. It hasn't been years or anything. It's been like 2 months, 3 months. That's it. So, I was grinding out 5 days a week on just 5 to 8 hours of scrims, just depended on the night. So, I mean, like even on that, and I wasn't in Challenger League, and these teams are trying to compete up to the level of the bottom teams in Pro League to try and knock them out to get their spot. And that's a lot. That's a lot. I honestly don't think, because they're not getting paid or anything like that. Basically, you're working 2 jobs. Like honestly, I work 2 jobs right now with like Flint and I's podcast, my work, streaming, everything else that like I do within Siege and all that stuff, as well as my actual daytime job. And like that's mainly like the point that I made on like my Twitter post when Slasher asked like, what's your goal for next year? What was your biggest thing this year? My goal for next year, I said I wanted to start making enough money where I could do this as my full-time job, because I love doing it. I'd love to put more hours into it. Just right now I can't, because I have to have a main job to where I can pay the bills in order to rent my apartment. So I can't just quit, sadly. But honestly, I think Challenger League kind of lacks in the department of profit for people, because look, you're putting so much time into this game in order to be at the level that you are, and scrimming twice a week for 3 hours on Siege is not a thing. Like it isn't like Counter-Strike. You can't just scrim 3 times a week for 3 to 5 hours and you're good. That's legitimate, like Challenger. That's legitimate, like Counter-Strike level teams that do that, like high tier teams in Counter-Strike that just, all right, 3 times a week we scrim about 5 hours and we're done. Like you can't do that. There's so many variables inside of Siege that really variance it from the other top FPSs, and you have to be ready for all of them, sadly. So there's a lot of practice that goes in. There's a lot of adjustments of strategies. There's everything. And honestly, right now, I do not think that Challenger League offers what it should be able to offer, or hopefully will be able to offer in the near future, to the people that play inside of the league. Things that I can think of that they could change would be, one, representation. I don't think that there's enough representation inside of Challenger League. That's why decently sized orgs don't pick up teams, because they don't really have the viewership. We're only getting about 200 to 500 or 200 to 1,000 viewers, depending on the Challenger League match. You compare that to Pro League, we are roughly, 70% behind their viewership count, depending on the day. So, there's a lot of things that they can do to change in order to make this better. Even making Challenger League the playoffs, make it a LAN, stuff like that. Like it's ESL hosted. You're not even paying your casters. The only thing that money that goes into it is your winners. That's it. You won $5,000 for winning Challenger League. I honestly think, if I remember right, that's a pool, if I remember correctly. So that gets split.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's a pool, so it gets split. So honestly, Challenger League is not worth very much right now. The only real revenue that you get from it for your long 6 months of grinding is you get a Pro League spot. That's it. And the Pro League spot is only as much of an offer as you can possibly make it. If your team goes on there and bombs, you literally just spent now 12 months of your life for nothing. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I think a lot of my answers were echoing a lot of yours. My biggest solution to all of this, I think, would be to actually centralize a point for viewership. So for the last season, for season 8 of Challenger League, it was on our individual channels. We were kind of just whoever's streaming whatever games, it's split between 2 channels because the games are so condensed that teams have to play twice in one night. First of all, that's pretty fucking ridiculous. Given that there were 6 months allotted for the season, and in the second straight season in this format, 3 months of it are just not being utilized whatsoever. And granted, this time around there's a game-changing, life-changing bug, or actually a handful of them right now that are impeding any kind of real competitive play. But last season that wasn't the case. The season started pretty much as it was supposed to, a little bit later, like a couple of weeks, but certainly not the month and a half that Pro League is now delayed by. And all that time could have been used for Challenger League. I mean, at the very least, make qualifiers a month and a half like they were last time. Still got 4.5 months. And yet, for some bizarre reason, everything had to be done in, 7 weeks for games? It's not even 2 full months. There's so much time allotted for the Challenger League schedule that makes it a lot longer and could benefit the viewership, first of all, because that's where everything falls apart, really. If ESL, at the very least, won't put money into Challenger League, there are other solutions that could still benefit the players within. Even without any kind of funding whatsoever, you leave the prize pool the exact same, which is bullshit, first of all. It's $5,000 that you don't even get to keep if you win first place. You get $2,500. So it's $500 for 6 months per player.
Yeah, I make, just to put this in preference, at my middle job, I work labor at a grain facility. I make roughly that in a month.
Yep.
So spread that across 6 months, and you've dedicated 6 times the amount of time that I've put into my work, and you get barely nothing comparative to, a regular job at all. So
yeah, so even without ESL putting in any kind of funding, whether that's giving casters a studio and a rate that they can get paid out on, regardless of all those solutions that I think would be the ultimate best case scenario solution for Challenger League on ESL's behalf, at the very least, schedule it out and utilize all the time allotted. It's a 6 months. It's a 6 month gap. It's a 6 month space you can fill, and yet, when the hell are Challenger League qualifiers? At this exact same time as the Invitational qualifiers, in the middle of a super month of Pro League? Dude, the month of January for competitive players in Siege is going to be hell. Not to mention the players who either, like you said, still work jobs, because unless you're in Pro League, you literally can't quit your job to play Siege. Unless you have money in the bank that you can use without having any kind of income coming in. Or you have school full-time. There are players out there who are 19, 20, 21 who are still in school trying to get their degree. And guess what? Challenger League, like you said, even Challenger League takes up 5-6 days a week of scrims. It's another job that you have to work at. All you got to do is space it out properly so that the timing doesn't completely fuck everyone. Give it a central location to be viewed upon as well, so that organizations stay with the teams. There aren't paying orgs in CL. I think I only know of 2 teams in CL last season that were actually paid by orgs, and I mean it was a very, very small amount of money. It was a very, very small amount of money. I won't disclose anything because I don't want the teams or players to feel like I've exposed something that they may not want public, versus where, Pro League salaries are fairly public. You got to know who to ask, but you can ask the right questions to the right people and you can find things out, versus CL. But dude, it was a very minuscule amount of money, again, for the amount of time being put in, and it was all their orgs could really give them legitimately based on what they were what their exposure level was. There's no exposure for organizations in Challenger League, which means there's no incentive for them to stick around, which means there's no reason to pay the players because you're not getting anything in return as an org. You're throwing money at a wall at that point.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the hardest thing for people to understand with organizations, especially ones that are up and coming, is that, and this was a conversation that I had with Maverick, which owns Infamy, because I know that one thing that people ask a lot is, how does an organization make money? An organization is basically a middleman for brands. That's basically what they are. Like they are your hype beasts. They are the people that basically you go, oh, this guy uses this mouse. Well, I want that mouse because this guy's so good. Stuff like that. Like that. That is where the rubber hits the road for organizations. It's all about branding, getting sponsorships, and be able to promote those sponsors and make money off of that because of it, as well as your merch. That's relatively it. So starting up an organization is a very, very, very risky business, especially right now. There's so many people trying to upcome with orgs right now, and there's not much money to spare. And honestly, it's mainly due to the fact that the smaller areas of esports don't really have any viewership, and that's because people more or less just focus at the top. They don't focus on the up and coming, as they do in, per se, like football right now. Like everybody watches college football, absolutely everybody. Arguably more people watch college football than they watch NFL, and that's the up and coming people to the NFL. And honestly, I feel like we should treat Challenger League the same way. They are our up and coming players. They are going to be in Pro League. They're going to enter that pool of professionals that are going to be switched around inside of Pro League, join new rosters. We're going to have to understand who they are. Everything else, they just need to be addressed as such, because right now they're not. And it's, I understand that esports is still in, a younger stage comparative, but I feel like there is some things that we can do in order to make it better. And I feel like ESL definitely can stretch just a little bit of cash flow into Challenger League to make it at least somewhat better.
Absolutely. I mean, we are technically contracted employees of ESL. We are not full-time by any means. We do not have an ongoing contract right now. However,
I don't even have a contract, Lamau.
You'll get one. For USN anyway. We are like random pickups basically for ESL. So we're not full-time employees. We don't speak for the company by any stretch of the imagination.
Think of us as the free agent that comes into your football team and plays quarterback because your other two are injured.
Yeah, I mean the B leaguers, right? That's what we are. So by no means don't take this as a statement from ESL. We are not by any means representations of ESL's opinions or behavior. We are free-thinking people who happen to live and breathe in this scene, who sometimes work for ESL, and we have opinions about this stuff. I just wanted to clarify that, because that does get construed sometimes as well. I had a question 1 week when I was playing the Go4 that asked me, how am I allowed to play in a Go4 if I'm an ESL employee? Well, I'm not. I am a random contracted person. If I had an ongoing contract like the Pro League casters do for a full year, then no, I wouldn't be able to, because I'd be an actually like contracted ESL employee. But I'm just a random person they pick up every once in a while. So wanted to clear that up. As far as Challenger League is concerned, though, without dumping any money into CL, which I think is still a mistake, I think it needs proper funding to actually succeed to the point that it could be a viable path for players to continue their careers. And the biggest problem for me is the number of orgs we've lost with teams that get relegated. And yes, I understand that some of these organizations are top tier organizations. Like, I'm sure we're going to talk about CLG and Obey in this conversation. And to be honest, those organizations definitely don't want to represent teams in Challenger League. However, the fact that it was better for both of those teams to disband and head their own separate ways than play out through Challenger League is pretty disgraceful for Challenger League as a whole. There's no reason that we can't have teams like, I don't know, what if Noble, ex-Noble, what if Orgulus got sent back down instead of Obey? What if they lost the relegation match? What if Accelerate didn't make it? There's all these what ifs, and the scenario always comes down to, you're going to lose the org, the players are going to disband, and then every new season in Challenger League, there's 7 or 8 new teams because nobody wants to stick in CL. I think this season for Challenger League, there are 6 open spots, if I'm not mistaken, because of disbands and teams just not wanting to keep their spot because it's not worth it to them anymore. They went through their 6-month season, which was really a month and a half season, which really all came down to 2 best of 3s in the playoffs, and they didn't make it, so they're done. They don't want to try again. They're done with it. It's over for them. They're sick of it. And it's hard not to empathize with that opinion based on the current setup of Challenger League, where it's so demoralizing and it's such a grind. It is such a grind just to get out of CL. Even just to get into CL, it's a month-long qualifier now. It used to be 2 weekends. It was just a giant go-for with a double elim bracket. And now it's this huge Swiss tournament where you have to perform multiple games back to back to back to back to back. And it is similar to the old double elim bracket where you have to basically go undefeated to stick with it and make it into the playoffs. At the end of the day, like, just to get into CL is a grind. Then just to get through CL is a grind. And if you fall short by 1 point, I mean, look at Nomads this last season in Challenger League. I don't know how many of our listeners followed the North American Challenger League season all that closely. The EU Challenger League season was pretty predictable, with ENCE and Empire making it through. I think everyone was pretty confident heading into the CL season for Europe that was going to be the outcome. But North America was a little more wide open, and Nomads held either the 2nd or 3rd place spot. They bounced back and forth with Disrupt and Elephant Gang being the top 2, who also, by the way, both didn't make it. The only team to make it out of North American Challenger League this season was the number 4 seed. That's pretty insane. That's pretty fucking insane. That also, like, there were so many teams. So you got Elephant Gang talking about retirements. You've got Disrupt losing their IGL and coach and gotcha to Evil Geniuses. You've got Nomads just falling off the face of the earth and choking in the last week. And then you've got Accelerate, who kind of just turned it on in the last, like, 3 or 4 weeks of Challenger League and barely squeak into the playoffs, and all of a sudden they make it through. It's all there's an entity of luck when it comes to Challenger League, and that's a problem. There shouldn't be an entity of luck. If you grind out that far and you make it that far off of your skill and you prove that you're the best team in Challenger League, you should make it through in this current format. I don't think teams are willing to put it in for the luck, and they're definitely not willing to donate their time anymore. I think we've gotten to the point now where they see the money being made at the top, and it's time for that to start trickling down to Challenger League and to lower levels to try and foster a sense of safety and some kind of monetary value to putting the time in, because it is such a sacrifice to just even get into Challenger League and make it through, and there's no reward at the end of that fucking road right now. If there was one thing I want out of this season, I think Parker had a giant ass wish list and he didn't touch on this once. I think I've seen a lot of wish lists out there from a lot of people on Twitter, in the scene, maybe even on Reddit too, where everyone's talking about wish lists for this and that and this and that for the esports side of Siege. Dude, my number one wish for this entire fucking year is make Challenger League worth it. Make Challenger League something to strive for and value the players inside of Challenger League. Because like you said, those players will eventually end up playing in Pro League. They will be. Look at Rampy, for fuck's sake. I was casting Rampy this time last year in IEG, a league that doesn't exist anymore, that does not pay well. I think the prize pool was like $200 or something for that season that I casted for him. And from that time last year, he went from I can't remember what the team was fucking called. I think it was Aggressor or something. I don't even remember. But honestly, he went from IEG to one season of Challenger League to Pro League. And no one knew who the fuck Rampy was when he got picked up, except for people who maybe either played against him and ranked a bunch of times or followed Challenger League for that one season. Yeah.
I knew who he was.
I knew who he was from casting him, but that was about it because I casted fucking IEG. Like, there were so many people who didn't know who Rampy was, and that will be the same way again this upcoming season when it comes to North America, when Accelerate play their first game on the 8th. Or not the 8th, sorry. It'll be after that. I think it's the 10th for North America. But that'll be the same way for Accelerate. There will be a lot of people very confused as to what happens, even with the amount of promotion that Challenger League got on social media this season. People still don't know. people still don't care about Challenger League, and that's a big problem. So if there was one thing I could change about the esport, it would most likely be to make Challenger League worth it for the players, for the viewers, for the talent working it, for everyone organizing it, for anyone who has to do anything with Challenger League and the lower leagues. Make it fucking worth it.
Yeah.
End
I
rant.
mean, yeah. I agree with absolutely everything you said. I mean, it's like what we talked about earlier. We basically just echo each other whenever we actually talk about something. But,
Yeah.
I mean, like that's the shitty thing about CL right now is just those facts right there. And I mean, like honestly, I mean, look at Challenger League as a whole. Like honestly, like we can talk about this Flint as well right now, Flint, for everything. Like there is zero production for CL. They give us a Twitch pack,
Yeah,
to use for overlays, and that's it. Otherwise, it's hands free. We don't get a word from anybody. We don't get anything. It's literally we don't get paid. We just cast, and that's it. We have to be there. It's our own exposure. We basically got paid in exposure last season, and last season had the best numbers yet, and those numbers were still pretty sad comparative. So, just something's got to give. Something's got to change. It just needs to happen in order to progress the scene as a whole. Because otherwise, there really is no reason for those players that are really good but are a young age that have to grind out, in order to make those teams work, for them to do anything, because it's just there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that leads us pretty well into our next topic, which was just basically our expectations for the game and the esport this year.
I expect Challenger League to get better.
I hope so. I don't. I think Challenger League will still be ignored, which is quite depressing, to be quite honest.
Also, I expect this season we will be casting together 100%. So I don't know who they're gonna put the other side of things.
Yeah,
but I'm hard set on that. I want to try things out. I want to feel things out, because
I would love to be able to get some time in the booth with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm pretty sure, as you've seen on all of social media, everybody wants us to do that because they want to see how well we work together. And if I definitely know that if we can fucking do a 2-hour podcast together, we can definitely fucking cast together and murder that shit. And, I would much rather have it to where, if eventually they do look at us and go, okay, we want, 6 or 8 PL casters instead of the 4 that we have, because we're going to expand and try and do a lot more during the week, with different channels or whatever, then, we're on the other end of that barrel. So
it would be nice. I would really like to get some time on a cast together, try and develop some chemistry, because obviously we have chemistry. We do this shit fucking twice a week.
I'd love to get chemistry with you.
Oh yeah, baby. Does your girlfriend listen to this? Because
probably, I think she does. Actually,
she might want to keep you on a tight leash around me the next event we go to together, which should be invite.
I can't wait, dude.
I know, right? Actually, Montreal, we're gonna have to cuddle up together.
Message. Yeah, she actually just sent me a text message. She's actually approved to go to that too. So her parents are like, yeah, you can go. So she's heading to that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so she'll be at invite with us, dude.
That'll be fun.
We're gonna be real fucked up, because I know for a fact we're not gonna be working, more than likely. So
basically, it's gonna be a long week of a lot of fun, especially in Montreal. Montreal is a very, very fun time. Not in February, because it's fucking cold as shit, but February. Montreal's great.
Grandfather at dinner, dude. My grandfather at dinner goes, I just want to let you know, when you leave the country, you don't bring your laws with you. So when you're in other countries, make sure you're acting right, so that you don't get arrested and end up in a Mexican prison where they're probably going to stab you to death. And I was like, oh, thanks, Grandpa.
I'm going to Canada, right?
Yeah. So I said, I was like, Grandpa, I'm going to Montreal. Like, it's fine. It's fucking Canada. Like, they'll probably apologize for arresting me. Like, it's fine.
Our laws are so much more lax compared to yours.
I don't know.
When it comes to anything we're going to be doing, like, we're going to be drinking. Okay, the drinking age in Quebec is 18. Weed is legal
Intoxic-
everywhere in the entire country.
Must be nice.
It is very nice. Jumping back on topic because we got a little off topic there, but again, invite does kind of relate into what I wanted to talk about, which were the expectations for the game as a whole this year. The esport, I guess, is what I'll focus on. Because as far as the game itself goes, there are plenty of different routes the game could go as far as operators wise and different utilities and aspects and features of the game that could come in and could not come in. I don't really want to hypothesize on what those could be because I do have inside information and I don't want any kind of predictions to be construed as leaking information. So I'm just going to avoid all of that as a whole. But I will talk about the esport, which I don't have as many insider things on. And I can just make straight up predictions on that I'm sure will sound bold or sound very cruel, depending on which way you look at it. My fear for the game is that it will stagnate this year as far as viewership goes and development for the esport goes. I think we've already witnessed some of that stagnation and some of the flaws that are coming through in the esport side of things when we have delays like this that lead into a fucking super month. I was telling you right before we went live that Pro League this season, at least for the first half before Invitational, will be 6 days a week as far as the broadcasts are concerned in the month of January. They have to fit into 24 days what they originally wanted to do in more than 60. The flaws that are in the game that continue to be introduced are not the fault of the organizers. The tournament organizer of ESL is not to blame for the problems that are being introduced into the game. However, the scheduling right now is just as bad as it was in the summer. I don't know if you remember the summer for scheduling, but it was identical to this. It was the Paris Major qualifiers, CL quals, and a third qualifier that I can't remember.
I remember because at any moment in time when I turned on the Rainbow Six Siege Twitch page,
Yep,
there was matches being played every single time. It was insane. Like, there was so much stuff to keep up with. It actually hurt my brain. Like, I can guarantee you right now, like this season coming up, it's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of me getting off of
Oh, it
work
was
and going,
USN.
"Flynn, what happened?" Like, you know what I mean?
It was
So-
USN, Paris Major, and Challenger League qualifications all being played in the same month of July. And that was a fucking nightmare to get through. And now imagine it again. You've also got to worry about Pro League teams all around the world right now, actually, who haven't qualified for the Invitational, who desperately want to, but also have to play 2 Pro League games a week. You got to focus and strat and scrim for 2 Pro League games a week and an Invitational qualifier. Or if you're in Challenger League, you got to strat for Challenger League qualifiers, and you got to strat for Invitational qualifiers. So you're scrimming nonstop, you're stratting nonstop. If you work normal jobs or you're in school because you're a normal fucking human being and don't have millions of dollars in the bank to just kind of live off of, that's your life. So the month of January is just going to be just as bad as July was this year in 2018. 2019 is going to start off very poorly for the esports side of things for Siege, and that's very depressing to look at from a caster and fan and insider point of view. Is the fact that we just went from a very chaotic and hectic year of scrambling, trying to keep everyone above water, and by the grace of God, we kept things together at their fucking shoestrings, to then head into the new year doing the same exact fucking thing is very demoralizing to me. I don't like seeing the trajectory that we're on right now for the esport. There needs to be a lot more stability. And the first thing that comes with more stability, honestly, should be more organizers coming in than just ESL. And as soon as we have more power involved as far as organizers are concerned and we can get some more stability, yes, it will create more tournaments and more events that teams need to participate in and strategize for. But it opens up the ability to say, hey, you know what? If we're a team that's on the fringe for Challenger League, but we have a local tournament that we can go to, like a DreamHack, for example, that could also pay out and get us some exposure with an organization that could give us representation for advertising, maybe everything isn't so fucking do or die. Maybe, we can skip out on a qualifier for such and such if we go to this instead. Maybe there are other options. Maybe it's not every single thing that fucking comes out is do or die. You have to absolutely do it. You can pick and choose what fits best for you on your schedule as a team. Because right now, everything that comes out for Siege is must. You must do it if you want to succeed and make any kind of money off the game and turn it into some kind of prolonged career in the esport. And whether or not it's just for a year of work or you want to make this your full-time thing for years to come, there needs to be more stability for teams so that, when hectic qualifier events like this happen, it's not, okay, we've been off for 3 months, because that's what Challenger Leagues have been, or Challenger League teams, have been. They haven't been doing shit for the last 3 months. But an off period, there's been nothing to do, and now all of a sudden it's from 0 to 60 in half a second. You got to go from your Christmas vacation after 3 months of, well, I guess 2 months really, but 2 months before Christmas, you're not really doing anything. You're just, CL season is done. You didn't make the playoffs. Okay, you're looking forward to the next season. Maybe you change teams. So you're on a brand new team, building up strategies and chemistry with new teammates. And there's not a fucking thing to do to prove yourself. All you can do is scrim and scrim and scrim and scrim and scrim. And there's no way to prove yourself. There's no way to test yourself against better teams. You're just stuck in this endless fucking loop of monotony. And then you got to go into qualifiers that are do or fucking die. And then most likely what happens with a lot of these teams is when they don't make those do or die qualifiers, they disband and they fall apart again. There's so much. There's a revolving door of players through like the bottom tier. Like we talk about the NA shuffle all the time for Pro League. You should see it for Challenger League and you should see it for CCS. It is the same 50 players on a fucking rotating spit, just constantly finding a new team after a new team after a new team, because there's no stability when it comes to those lower tier players. We need more TOs in to actually create more opportunity for some stability for more teams to come up. And I don't see that happening in 2019, unfortunately. I don't see anything expanding past what we just did in 2018 for Siege as the esport, and I think we're going to stagnate, and I think it's going to be more of the same chaos. And I hate to say that. I hate to think that. I hate to look at everything that's come forward so far and think we're not going to grow. But we're at a tipping point where something needs to change, something needs to break, something needs to push forward, and we need to evolve our scene, and it's just not happening. It's more and more the same cyclical panic and just reacting to it instead of planning for the future. So now that I've said all the doomsday shit, feel free to take the positive road there, Stokesifer. Have fun.
Oh my god. Are we still on expectations for Siege?
Yup. That's what I just went on a rant about.
I literally holy shit.
Hey,
I might have drank a little bit too much. All right, anyways, God bless. There for a second, dude, I felt like I was listening to the podcast in my car. I was kind of just had my eyes closed, and I was like, "Oh, this is real nice." And then, oh shit. Anyways, okay.
So yeah, tell me what you see Siege as being in 2019. What is your 2019 view? If you could look forward into a crystal ball and see Siege as a whole at this time next year, what do you see?
You're fired. That's
same.
No, my real predictions are that we had some talks with Ubisoft over at USN. Flynn and I did, as well as a couple of the other casters. Other casters had conversations with Ubisoft. I'm not saying we had conversations with other casters, but we had some conversations with Ubisoft about more or less the future and what we're looking forward to. And there's a lot of really cool things. They're focused on balancing a lot. They have an entire branch of the Rainbow Six development team that is solely focused on balancing. So I feel that balancing is going to be handled a lot more before things get terrible and it enters the pro league scene than prior with Lion, where they're just like, oh yeah, just fucking deal with him and just throw him into our faces. I feel like that's going to be sorted out, which would be very nice. I feel like we are going to get an expansion on what is going on inside of the esports scene as a whole for Rainbow Six Siege. I feel that they are going to focus more on kind of like one-off events, where we are going to be having like national events where, okay, who's the best team in Canada, who's the best team in North America, or who's the best team in the United States, blah, 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 and so on. And honestly, I feel like that could really feed into something that's very cool, which I'm pretty sure everybody already knows where I'm going with this. It's probably way on down the line. But I feel like eventually we will have a internationals where it's going to be the best team of each region, kind of like soccer, playing against each other to see who's the best team in the world, which will more than likely be Evil Geniuses versus G2. So, but that's fine. It'd be very, very cool to see. Be very, very cool to be there. Be very, very cool to cast. If hey, ESL, yeah, hire us. Anyways, besides that, there is a lot of things that still are need a focus on instead of the scene, and Flynn focused on a lot of those. So I'm just going to be real brief and real blunt about what I think needs to be focused on, and Challenge League being the main one that needs a complete rework on what's going on. Needs more viewership so that players can get paid, needs more viewership so that casters have an incentive in order to cast it and make a little bit of revenue on the side, because as we said before, currently there is no revenue basis there for it. It's just our time. Outside of that, Pro League, we just need more or less just better everything, honestly. I mean, like, the production sometimes just gets bland. It's the same thing over and over again, which I understand, like, it's one game, but there is a lot of things that they can do on top of that in order to, expand upon that. They can do even like a pre-day show, something along those lines, like we do with every other sport or esport. They have, okay, this is a pre-match show. Everybody comes in here, they talk about it. Okay, boom, we got the cast going on. Make it an actual show. Don't make it just like a one-off event sort of thing, or, okay, the casters are here, we're casting, the game's over. Like, okay, do a pre-show, do a post-show, do whatever you got to do. Just make it to where it is an actual esport instead of what we're doing right now. There's so many things that we can expand on to make this better that we need to look into, and we can do them. It's very, very easy. So besides that, I like the casters that we currently have in Pro League. I think all of them absolutely deserve to be there. They all bring their own skills, their own prowess, as well as their own character to their cast. I love that. Besides that, I feel that exactly what Flynn said, we just need more events. I mean, like, our events right now are very limited. There's not very much on the roadmap if you really look at it, besides, we have like Pro League season finals, majors, which we have 2 of those a year if I remember the roadmap correctly, and then we have invitational. So that's relatively it. And so across 12 months, we really only have 7 events. Well, actually, no, because Pro League seasons are now 6 months long, so we only have relatively 4 events per season.
Yeah, as far as like full-on Pro League events, we'll have
without DreamHacks.
Because DreamHacks and Nationals and all those programs, they aren't full Pro League. Which is a topic I actually want to jump. I would very much like to see the game expand to a point where it's not just about the Pro League teams.
Yeah, go for a while, use the bathroom.
Okay, have fun. Take your league, break your seal, Mr. Guinness boy.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah. I would very much like to see the game expand to a point where it's not just like, we don't just focus on the Pro League teams. We don't just focus on the 8 Pro League teams in each region. And I guess APAC has way more than that, but APAC's its own monster that takes a lot of devotion to cover each region individually. My dream, my hope for this scene and for the focus of competitive esports for Siege would be that we focus on more than just the 8 in each region. We focus on, the top. Like, look at CS:GO. CS:GO to me is like the perfect example of at least the depth of teams that they have that they focus on. There are 20, 30 teams that are recognizable in each region of Counter-Strike that you can dive in on. They have history. And obviously, there's way more time put in to the history of CS:GO in comparison to what we're dealing with. Like, we have 3 years of the Siege esport as a whole versus Counter-Strike as a whole that has, almost 2 decades. And CS:GO itself has been around for a few years longer than Siege. I know CS:GO came out in 2012, and the pro scene really developed in 2013 for it, as far as taking off as a mainstay versus 1.6 being the focus as the esport, or is like the esport standard. But in Counter-Strike, there are more tournaments where other teams come in, and it's not just, who's in the ESL Pro League. Who are the 8 teams in Pro League, and everyone else is kind of just some other side note. There's some other cliff note in the history of the game. I'd rather see, like, we focus on, all 8 Pro League teams, all 8 Challenger League teams, maybe some other teams that are on the fringe. I'd rather focus on the top 20 of each region and call them, the pro teams or the competitive teams versus, we're always just talking about the 8 same fucking teams for 6 months in each region. And, we swap out at maximum 2 per region every 6 months. So in a year, we talk about at most 10 teams in each region. Like, no, man, we got to talk about more than that. We got to see more than that. We got to be devoted to more than that. Like Stokes said as well, college football, I think, is a very good model for the... okay, we're not talking about the payment of college players for the NCAA in the United States, because that's a fucking hornet's nest I don't want to touch right now, but the whole development scene, I think, actually, no one is going to understand this, and I very much hate that no one is going to understand this, and the payment thing, again, stems from it, but junior hockey in Canada is a huge thing. And that's going to mean absolutely jack shit to any of you, but I'm going to try and explain it in a scenario that makes sense to Siege, and see if you guys can envision this future for other teams in Siege, and see if this would intrigue you. There's college hockey, but in junior hockey in Canada, there are 3 different leagues. There's the Western Hockey League, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, and the Ontario Hockey League. The names don't matter, just understand that they are 3 different leagues in 3 different regions of the country. And technically some American teams as well. Don't ask. In each of those regions, there are between 20 and I think 24 teams in each of those regions that participate in the league. And all these players are between the ages of 15 and 21. It's a development league where they're playing not professional hockey because they don't get paid per se, but it's the development leagues where they get scouted and then they get drafted and then they get brought up to newer teams. And I'm not suggesting that we do a draft and new players need to be drafted away from teams and stuff like that. But what I am suggesting is that we focus on like full-on developmental leagues where everyone isn't just focused on the top, People focus at the very top of hockey for the professional route, but they also focus on the junior aspect. And try and envision, if you're out there, and I know hockey isn't everyone's fucking forte, and I'm going to talk about hockey a lot, but just scrap what the sport is. Take the sport out of it and just look at, maybe we don't just look at the top teams in every region. Maybe we look at all of the teams that are competitive, and we can rank them, and we can give them characteristics and compare them to one another without just branding them one specific branch or another, whether they're Pro League or Challenger League or CCS or Benelux or, I don't know, fucking the Russian Major League or the Canadian Nationals or the US Nationals. Stop talking about the teams based on the league they're in. Start talking about the teams in comparison to the other teams around them. Give them all one big fucking spectrum. NA 1 through 30. Who should those teams be? And we should focus on them, and why we should focus on them, and where do they stack up against each other? And could we have more events where we see, the 15 to 30 teams in each region really challenging for spots? We've seen dream hacks where teams have come out of the woodwork in BYOC and even just invited to, DreamHack Winter was an interesting one. Making it in through the, technically through the group stage without having to play. There are plenty of instances in which there are other teams out there that we could definitely focus on and definitely bring into the foray and the conversation of a competitive team, and yet it just never happens because we always focus on the same 8 teams at the top. And then the 8 teams in CL and we judge them by the league they play in. And what I would dream to see, what I would rather see, is an expansion of Siege Esports as a whole to just viewing the region as a whole, not based on the league they play in, but just their skill on its own. Welcome back, Stokes.
Hello, Flynn.
I talked about junior hockey in Canada.
I heard.
Yeah, it was a good time. I'm sure nobody gave a shit about the hockey aspect, but I hope the message translated. I hope the message translated properly. We'll see.
Only you would talk about junior hockey.
I'm sure I'm gonna get yelled at for it by a few listeners, but
it might happen. But it's
because I gave your college football analogy also a pretty good run through, and I thought it was a good one. I think there should be a developmental system that has a lot of viewership behind it and a lot of focus on it as far as the younger side of things, and not just age-wise, but the more inexperienced teams. And yeah, like I said, don't just focus on the pro league teams, because there aren't that many. I'd rather focus on everything instead of just one select bunch of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So, as you guys know, the pro league schedule got announced.
Yeah.
And it's fucking batshit crazy.
That's a mess.
Basically, as we were talking about earlier, I'm basically going to be getting ready to watch all of North America's matches with Flynn, and then on Europe's matches, get home and then ask Flynn what the fuck happened, because it's just going to be a clusterfuck of 6 days a week of pro league matches being played, which is going to be absolutely bonkers, batshit crazy. By the way, as well, if you guys did not see it and you guys follow CCS has been delayed all the way till February because of this hellish month that's coming up with pro league. So pro league schedule this month is fucking asinine. Flynn and I are going to be running through a million bajillion matches during the podcast. This is when the podcast is really going to hit the road, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys enjoy the podcast right now, wait until we're breaking down matches and talking about certain plays and stuff like that. Yeah, that's when Flynn and I will really be able to help you guys. If you guys are new to the scene, we'll be able to really help you guys understand, because you guys will be able to watch along with matches and really understand what we're talking about. Because Flynn and I basically talked about we want to kind of take it on a round by round basis. If there is like a match that deserves that much of a breakdown, then we'll do that. We'll talk about it. Other than that, we'll just do, okay, this is a highlight play, this and that. And we really found this interesting, so on and so forth. And hopefully we'll be able to help you guys out that are newer to the game, or as well as people that are more experienced, just trying to understand what, these pro league level teams are doing. Because that's basically our job as casters, is to completely understand what the fuck's going on. So, yeah.
Which will be difficult to do. Right now the podcast is in an off-season mode where basically we have to take very abstract ideas and develop upon them and give our opinions on them, kind of like what we just did for
basically
CL.
This is the way I explain it. I'm just gonna stop you right there. This is the best way to explain it that I found to explain it to all of my friends, all of my family, everybody that I have to explain it to when I talk about, because you show people Siege and they go, this looks really complicated. You go, yeah, it is. Basically, the best way to explain it is you have to know absolutely everything that can happen in between operators and what the other operators on the other side can do to counteract that, in order to make this chemical makeup of what the fuck is going on per round, in order to judge about what happened. So no matter what op enters the scene, you have to know how that's going to affect every single operator in the entire pool in order to change up the meta. And it takes a while to get there, because every single op has a pretty high skill ceiling. You have your really easy ones like Rook or like Sledge, so on and so forth. But then you have your operators like Pulse, and your operators like Echo and Zofia, and all these operators that require a higher skill ceiling. If you face those players that are really, really good with that op, then you're going to understand that. Like, for instance, like Mo Digga's favorite operator is Zofia, and Mo is nuts with her. That's why he really didn't get a chance to, grasp a hold of that at USN, because they banned it away. Stuff like that. So you really just have to understand what can go on with every operator, kind of like a chess game. And, you have to understand the strategy that goes in behind them. and exactly what they can have an effect on the players across from them, and as well as the map. And it takes a while to get there. And honestly, the casters that are coming in with no prior experience in competition at all inside of this game, I feel for them most definitely, because there's no way I would know half the shit that I know right now if not for playing comp.
Yeah, there are a lot of people out there who, whether they are casters or not, whether they're viewers or something, they don't have competitive experience within the game or any other game, and it limits their ability to kind of understand what's going on. And don't take this as a slight if you are one of those people. Don't take this as me saying that you can't understand, because there are people who dedicate their time and dedicate a lot of effort into understanding the competitive aspects of the game versus simply just the running gun, shooting aspect of the game, because it is an FPS at its base core. There is just much more to it. But to be able to be a good caster, and we've talked about like what it takes to be a good caster, at least in our opinions, and again, take that with a grain of salt. We aren't pro league casters. We aren't at the top of our profession. So take that for what it's worth. You really do kind of need to be able to understand what's going on, even at that very fine granular level. You really do need to be able to understand that and break it down into simpler terms for the viewers who might not understand that. So to come in without any prior comp experience is difficult. So I think that's one of our missions, honestly, with this podcast, is to bring that knowledge to some people out there who might not understand it. And I know there are plenty of people out there who listen to this who do understand Siege at its comp level. But I'm sure there are people who would want to know, and they find themselves intimidated by it. And I hope we don't intimidate anyone out of trying to learn and trying to listen and follow along with us. I don't really want to get down to going Sesame Street route and trying to give everyone the fucking ABCs. If you'd like to pay me to do that for you, then by all means reach out. But I'm certainly not doing it for free as far as giving everyone a fucking crash course on how to play the game competitively. I don't want to intimidate anyone out there out of thinking that they can jump in and follow along with us when it comes to the esport level, because the game from just playing it to the game of understanding it at a high level competitive tier, they're completely different. They're completely different games. They're completely different universes. There's no real connection between the two.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, the schedule this season is going to be fucking asinine. I can't.
Nice word choice. I like that.
Yeah. Dude, this schedule, I can't. God. 6 days a week. You got to play a Pro League game twice a week. I think that's honestly going to benefit some of the worst teams in every region. That's honestly because the better teams like their time. They take their time. They manage their time well. You'll see a lot of teams out there talking about how much time they put in, and you can really see it from the upper echelon of teams, how they manage their time. I have an infamous tweet out there about this after Troy's lazy NA pro comment on the interview, where I said, time is fine. You can put a lot of time into something, but if you're not managing your time properly and working at individual characteristics of yourself and evolving as a team and evolving as a person and a player, then what is your time worth? What are you using your time for? Are you just running the same thing over and over again into the ground? The teams that don't understand that are going to benefit quite well from this super month of fucking anarchy, because there won't be the time that the better teams are used to having. And it's going to be an adjustment. It's going to be chaotic. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of turmoil in the standings very early on, heading into Invite. I don't think any of our predictions that we made a few weeks ago, I think some of our predictions will hold true. I think the best teams out there will adapt. They will make the changes necessary, but I think there will be a lot of surprises out there from teams who maybe don't manage their time the best in a long form season. We saw it a lot in the old format of a fucking double elimination bracket, where there was plenty of time in the world to strat. You had 2 weeks in between games. However, you only played 3 opponents at maximum in a season. And That just like you never got to see the other side of the world, basically. You never got to see the other side of your region. You never had to worry about much other than one person. And the teams that manage their time best focus on multiple targets at the same time. And you're not going to be able to do that in this kind of fucking schedule. You are not going to be able to focus as much as you would like. Your practice time will be very, very single-minded. It will not be multidimensional. It'll be about getting every single round you can, because it's all going to be a fight for blood. And there's going to be a lot of upsets out there from teams who maybe just want to throw everything at a wall and see what sticks. And the teams who can cause the most amount of chaos and havoc, I think will do the best. Because at this point, throwing a wrench in the plan will completely fuck you. There's not enough time to practice and premeditate upon what you think that wrench is going to be. Evil Geniuses are a team that scare me heading into this season. I don't know how well they're going to do. And I've doubted them before and been proven wrong. So by all means, someone clip this and keep it in their back pocket for when I am eventually wrong.
I'll do that. Don't worry.
All right. They're a team that work very well off strategy and very well off time and preparation. Dark Zero is also another team that works very well off of time and preparation and putting a lot of work in behind the scenes. I don't think people really grasp how fundamentally sound they are as far as their practice and preparation and planning is. They always look like the most prepared team in every single match, whether they come away with a victory or not. There was really only one match last season where they did not look like they had any fucking clue what universe they were in. It was against EG on Villa in week 13. Every other game, whether they lost it, won it, or drew it, they looked like they knew what they were doing, and the failures were on the execution side, not the planning side. There are a lot of teams out there who can't say the same. There are a lot of teams who went into games planning for one thing and got completely fucked over. They just had no clue what was in front of them. Versus Dark Zero last season, who looked like they ran the game tape on basically everyone multiple times. Every single player on that team knew what the fuck was going to happen. They had a plan for every contingency, and it just came down to execution. And sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. But they always looked like they had a plan and a purpose. And this season, at least this portion of the season of this super month, is going to be hell for those teams who depend on that kind of planning and preparation. I think we're going to see a lot of upheaval in all three regions.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that basically they've made a ticking time bomb for this season. So it's going to be crazy. This again, as you said, this January is going to be absolutely fucking insane. I'm not prepared for it at all. There's going to be a lot of stuff to cover.
I'm going to miss a lot of stuff, and I hate missing stuff, but...
Yep. I mean, but it's basically going to be impossible, so...
It's just insanity.
We will give our Boy Scout best, ladies and gents. We will give our Boy Scout best.
Yeah, so. I mean, that's the thing, right? We don't get paid to do this. We don't get paid to watch this and follow it. We do it because, it makes us better casters. It makes us better analysts and insiders, I guess, and podcasters, but at the end of the day, we donate our time to do it. And holy shit, is there going to be a lot of time to be donated in January.
It's gonna be a long month. Better break out the motherfucking Red Bull.
I'm glad that the first week of January there's no action. Doesn't start until Tuesday the 8th. So next week, thankfully, there's nothing. We still have some relaxation time. We still have some downtime. And then shit is going to hit the fan real fucking quick. And it's going to be a nightmare. I'm not even prepared, like you said. I'm nowhere near prepared to be able to handle this kind of fucking anarchy.
I'm getting tired just thinking about it.
Yeah, really.
Man. Yeah, it's just, yeah. All right, so next thing on the list, we got CL/invite qualifiers.
Hey, more stuff to touch on the super month.
Yeah, so basically it's just going to be another batch of complete bullshit. Like, this entire month is going to be terrible. Basically, the teams it's really going to be rough on are teams that did not make invite that are prospects to make invite, such as like Space Station Gaming. This
Dark
month
Zero.
is literally going to, and Dark Zero as well. It's going to be crazy as fuck. It's going to be absolutely insane.
I mean, you got Secret in EU.
Yeah, I mean,
Empire.
honestly, if we want to talk about who we think is going to make invite,
That's kind of what I want to focus on. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that SSG will make invite 100%. I think that they're going to have enough time with Bosco after this break period, being able to scrim with him. They had a very good showing against Rogue. I believe that they have what it takes to make it to invite and to even make it to the weekend play of invite. Because if you guys have joined past last year's invite and you didn't watch it, basically, it's basically a full week tournament in Canada, and they do group stages during the week where every team plays the other teams. I believe it's once, right, Flynn? Once.
It's a double elim bracket for each
double
group.
Double elim bracket for each group. And it goes the entire week. So it goes like Tuesday to Friday. They're there and they're playing matches. And then Saturday is when Invitationals full on kicks off. And that's when the stage matches start. So I believe that SSG will get there. I believe they're going to take it one step further and they will make it to the stage portion of Invitational. That is my call. That is what I'm saying. I'm saying it before Flynn says it because I know Flynn's going to say it. And I want to put him on the spot instead of like last time where he did my exact fucking predictions for USN. So I had to say some dumb, weird shit in order to try and sound different.
Basically. Yeah, I think I really want to dive into some fucking teams that I think will make it. So I'm actually going to pull up the list of teams invited. I know everyone who's made it for NA and EU. I just can't think of off the top of my head who's made it for Brazil, but I think it's just FaZe and Immortals right now. I don't think anyone has gotten a spot other than those two.
Liquid does not have a spot.
Liquid doesn't have the spot? All right.
Nope.
Premier Events, 6 Invitational 2019. Yeah, I was right. All right, let's go through this. We have 2 European online qualifiers. We have 1 North American online qualifier. We have 2 Latin American online qualifiers, and we have an APAC online qualifier. Fuck.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to start with North America because it's the region that we focus on the most, and there's only 1 spot, which really fucking sucks, considering just how brutal, honestly, everything is going to be. Yikes. North America is going to be a shit show as far as making it in for that 1 qualifier spot, man. Like there are plenty. It's a
really good thing I got this mahogany driftwood candle to get me through it.
Oh my god. Yeah, like you said, SSG looks strong to me. I think I'm trying to focus on the mentality aspect of the chaos more than just pure skill. So if I make a prediction that sounds weird, because I know I've said SSG in the past, but SSG was a prediction I made under the assumption that there wouldn't be this fucking anarchy of a super month, where things would be scheduled out properly. We wouldn't be entering into possible hell. I think SSG is still a strong contender because I think they can play off the chaos a little bit better than some teams. Dark Zero is a good candidate skill wise, but like I said, they like their time, they like their preparation and planning. Although I think maybe being in the team house together, that will help with being able to work together as a team and just again kind of repel some of that mentality panic that comes in with, you know, playing 2 Pro League games a week, planning for those Pro League games each week, and also having to worry about an online qualifier. I've also talked about in the past how an online qualifier, while it does revolve around skill for the most part, also does have quite the entity of luck involved. So to throw a real dice throw in there, and I don't know how realistic this would be given their showing in the Challenger League playoffs, but I'm going to throw Disrupt in that mix.
You're not.
I am throwing Disrupt in the conversation.
Stop.
I'm throwing Disrupt in the conversation.
All right, I thought I was drunk. Flynn is definitely drunk right now.
I am still pretty buzzed from my cold medication, don't get me wrong, but I'm throwing Disrupt in the mix.
Okay, look, I love Mo.
Yeah.
I love Mo so much.
Yeah.
Dude is awesome. I love those guys. Remorse, all of them.
Yep.
But Okay, explain your thought process.
My thought process is basically what I said when it comes down to the mentality of it. They are a very good team that can react on the fly. They are a very good team that, while they used to play under extreme structure under Gotcha, I believe that they have the raw skill, first of all, the teamwork, second of all. Like, the chemistry with each other is still there. They're still a unit. Losing Gotcha didn't kill them in the NA playoffs for CL. It did wound them enough that they were vulnerable, and they got taken advantage of pretty hard. But having a lot of time to be able to put in and not having to focus on anything else, I think gives them an edge. They can just focus on invite quals. They've already retained their spot from last season for Challenger League. They don't have to worry about the Challenger League qualifiers. They aren't in Pro League. They don't have to play 2 Pro League games a week. All they got to focus on is invite qualifiers. I think they're one of the teams that is in a rare scenario in which, in North America, they will be the least distracted and have the most amount of time to put in on one single goal and not be enveloped by chaos. I think they have the raw skill necessary to put them in that upper echelon, just proven by the last season of Challenger League, first of all, and knowing the players quite well, their individual skill level. And I think there will be some vulnerable teams out there who will be, quite honestly, mentally drained from the month of January. The month of January will be mentally taxing, as well as it will be physically taxing for teams who are trying to make it in North America, and I think Disrupt is in a uniquely poised position to take advantage of, like I said, the entity of luck that is involved with an online qualifier. I think they have a valid shot. But obviously, I think, if I wanted to throw a wild card that's actually like legitimate, I would probably say X-Noble, so Orgulus. They looked really good at USN. I think the roster moves helped. They also seem like a team that can deal with panic quite well, but like I said, they're going to be playing 2 Pro League games a fucking week. They're going to be focused on a lot of things, and their attention and devotion will be split. Disrupt is my true wild card. My just pure skill bet would be Dark Zero, and my interesting wild card would be Orgulus. But I think Disrupt has a chance. I think we'll see at least Disrupt in the final 4 of the online qualifier.
It's space station or no station. Let's go Rampy, bro. I love that kid, man.
I know. I love Rampy. I love everyone in SSG.
Dude, what sucks is I know all of them now, dude. I'm just like, oh man, I want them all to do so well.
Yup. For Europe, I'm not going to get as in depth because there's obviously a lot of things that can and can't
G2
happen.
will claim a 4th spot.
Yes, of course. It's funny. The second European online qualifier is because of G2. I think off of pure skill, I'm going to give it to Secret. And I think because they can also contend with the chaos, I'll give it to Empire. So nothing too crazy as far as random out of the woodwork picks. Latin America. That's a fun one. That's a fucking fun one, dude. I think you got to give one spot to Liquid at the very least.
Liquid. Oh, there are 2 spots?
There's 2 spots for Latin.
Yeah, Liquid.
I got to give one to Liquid at the very least, and I think the obvious.
Ents? What is it? INTZ?
Oh, INTZ, yeah. That's an interesting one. They're a little bit lower down as far as like pure skill, but you're also right. They are a very chaotic team themselves. I think that would be interesting. I think seriously, every single Pro League region except for Brazil is listed. I think the one team I'm looking at is NIP, actually. I think Ninjas in Pajamas, as they're a very good team, but they've shown in limited instances they can be like otherworldly at LANs. I just don't know how well they do in an online qualifier. We also got to remember, like, the big hitters in Brazil are gone. It's FaZe and Immortals who aren't there. You've got Liquid, who I think is the number 1 favorite to run away with it in LATAM. Yeah, I like INTZ, Ints. I like them. I think NIP is just, they're the luckier team when it comes to these random-ass brackets. I don't think NIP is a wild one. That's not an in the dark shot. That's a very storied team. They just looked like absolute fucking ass last season in Pro League. So it's a scary one, don't get me wrong. However, that is kind of like that. I kind of like Nip and Liquid, just as kind of like this the tandem of returning tier 1 orgs to Invite. I'd like to see Nip at Invite again. They did quite well. They made it to the semis last season, or last Invite against G2.
Nice.
And then APAC, God only fucking knows.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Fnatic or Nora because they've already qualified. So you got to pick a random motherfucking team out of.
It's going to be some team that is basically a rank squad from any other region, and they're going to win. And they're going to get in, and they're going to get knocked out immediately.
APAC? I don't know. Do I just pick a random fucking name out of APAC Pro League?
I guess.
Let's give it to Athletico.
I was going to say that, actually. Yeah.
Athletico. I think it's either Aerowolf or Athletico that go, but I'll give it to Athletico. I have no fucking clue about APAC, dude. Like, I don't think any of us do. I really wish I could, dive more into APAC, but, like, holy shit, that is a hard region to follow. Time zones, and there's 4 different leagues inside the league. Like, that is just a mess. Yeah, APAC's a tough one to call.
Yeah, APAC is definitely a tough one. A tough cookie to crack. Tough nut to crack, not a tough cookie. Cookies aren't hard to crack, nuts are. Yeah. Anyways, intoxication is fun.
You got any wild cards you want to throw in there as far as like any or EU? Like just some weird ass ones like Disrupt like I picked? Also, what do you think about the Disrupt pick now that I explained it?
You're still wrong.
I'm still wrong. Damn. Yeah. All right. We'll see.
SSG. We'll
SSG or no one. Are you good, dude?
Yeah.
You sure?
Good SSG or no one, yeah.
I mean, we've been going for a while. We can call it if you want.
What? No, dude.
Here.
We got 3 topics.
Fuck the topics. Who cares about the topics? We're skipping to the end.
I'm a sick one here. I'm just intoxicated.
Yeah,
shut up.
Shut the fuck up. We're going to the end. We're doing a Q&A because hashtag easy content.
We're going to the end? No,
yeah, we're going to the end. Yes, we are. The other things we've already talked about, except for Panic's leaving Penta.
No, Panic's leaving Penta.
Panic's left Penta. I'm sad. I love Panic's.
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm sad. Panic's is cute.
We have no
I love
idea
Panic's.
who the fuck they're picking up.
Yeah, Penta hasn't announced who they're replacing Panic's with, so we'll find out eventually. Especially by next week and a half when EU Pro League starts back up. That sucks because Panic's is great, and there's some weird inside knowledge we have about roster lock things that we can't talk about. So maybe he'll be on a team for Pro League this upcoming portion of the season. We don't know.
Very weird.
It's weird. It's fucking weird. I don't know.
Weird German accent I just did.
This is why I want to wind things down, buddy. All right. Pull out your phone.
All right.
Bye-bye, Panics. We love you. I miss you. I want to give you another hug. Let's start finding some questions. You pick the first question.
Okay. Hold on here. Let's scroll down my Twitters. Let me move this mic up a little bit more. There we go. All right. While I'm finding these, what did you think of Bird Box, that movie on Netflix?
I haven't watched it yet, but I've seen everyone talking about it on Twitter.
Fucking trash.
It is?
It's a worse version of A Quiet Place.
Oh, really? That's depressing.
Yeah, I mean, you might still
I gotta
like
sneeze.
It'll keep you at least a little interested. So, all right. So, we'll talk about this one first from @I'mSpial, SPIAL on Twitter. Comes, how do you think the new operators will affect Pro League? And I will start because I picked the question.
Okay.
I don't want to put Flynn on the spot.
Bad.
So,
have fun.
The new operators are going to be Kaid and Nomad. Kaid being the defensive op, which has basically lightning rods that are comparative to the Grismont mine of Ela, in which he can electrify things with, kind of like Bandit, but he can place it anywhere within a certain radius of the lightning rod in order to electrify things. So you can get very creative with them. You can put them on the floor. You can do whatever you want. I see Kaid changing metas a lot on maps that require hatches to be reinforced. So Bank, Oregon, Clubhouse, any of those 3 maps right there, right off the top of my head, are maps that are going to be heavily affected by Kaid coming into play. On the other side of things, we have Nomad. And I see Nomad shifting the meta into being offensive favored because it's going to make roaming even more difficult, where roaming's already pretty difficult right now with Jekyll and Dokkaebi in play. You're going to have Nomad now, which basically she has a better Claymore. That's basically what she has. It doesn't kill you, but it knocks you on your ass to where you can't shoot and you can't move properly. So very, very difficult to get around just due to the fact of she can literally place him on any type of surface at any height, anywhere. She can put it up in the corner of a staircase. And as soon as you're in that radius, that thing will cleanly knock you on your ass. That isn't a percentage of how close you were to it or anything along those lines. It is if you get inside the radius, that thing will knock you straight under your ass and you will more than likely die. So very dangerous is Nomad. I see her definitely on flex roll for holding rotations, as well as she is going to make post-plant situations for defenders extremely difficult. So I definitely see things shifting back into an offensive meta. I see it expanding a little bit on entry fraggers and helping them out just a little bit. Not having to worry about roamers as much. So that is where I see things going with new operators. I think currently they're both in a pretty good spot with the shifts that they made. Kaid's shotgun's still pretty fucking nuts, but it's a slug shotgun. What else did you expect? I think that they should at least take the ACOG off of it. That is my 2 cents on the whole thing. Oh, and the pistol's pretty fucking nuts. It reminds me of a Star Wars weapon. There we go. That's it.
Yeah. My things with the ops, just first off, my general opinions about them. I think Nomad is fine. I think Kaid is fine as far as their gadgets go. I think both of them need to have their pistol deleted. That is dumb. That pistol's dumb. I don't care how much recoil you put on it. That thing's fucking stupid. They put all the recoil.
Remember that whole thing that they said like a year and a half ago, where they said they would never ever put an ACOG on a secondary ever again.
Yeah.
And then they did it.
Yeah, that was actually the point I was going to bring up, is what, like, there was a lot of recoil with the ACOG, even on the old pattern with the SMG-11 when it had ACOG back in the day. Like, there was still a lot of recoil. People just tap fired the fuck out of that thing. Like, it was used as a sniper rifle. It was a pocket sniper rifle. That's what this fucking pistol is, and it hits harder than the SMG-11 ever could. Like, even if you miss the headshot, if you hit him with a fucking chest shot, like, I think it's down to like 54 damage.
Yeah. If you hit him
at like 20 range or 20 meters. Yeah, it's still pretty bullshit. So delete that pistol from existence, and then I'm happy with both the operators as far as balancing is concerned. That shotty rips through you pretty hard. I'd like a damage nerf as well done again to that shotgun, or a fire rate nerf. But fire rate we've talked about before. Or at least I think we've talked about before. Is difficult to nerf, although that's for automatic weapons. I think for semi-autos they could implement a like they did when they unlocked the fire rate for the pistols, because the P9 used to not be able to spam as fast as you can now. The secondary pistol and the GIGN, the French pistol, that's not the revolver. That used to have a click lock on it. You couldn't spam it as fast as you can now. So I think there might be something they can do to the fire rate of the slug shotty, but that also needs a bit of a tune down, and then I'm fine. As far as the utility is concerned, I'm completely fine with it. Nomad's air jabs are what they are. Like you said, they're a different Claymore. The fact that she also gets a Claymore to me is kind of bullshit. I would give her breaches and flashes.
Knock people into a fucking Claymore. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I would say.
That's literally what I do online. I just knock people into Claymores.
I would say take away her actual Claymore and give her breaches and flashes as options for secondary gadget, and then I'm done with touching them as far as operators are concerned, or as far as balancing is concerned. How they'll affect the Pro League meta. I think Kaid will either, like a lot of people are predicting, extremely, like exponentially spike the play rate of Thatcher. because it is so easy to just drop an EMP on a hatch and then you're done. You don't have to worry about the fucking thing anymore. Maverick can also be used, but you're taking damage while doing it and you're pretty exposed versus Thatcher's just clean simplicity with it. And that either that or, you know, I debated this in my head for a while when I thought about it, but Twitch could probably see a pretty good resurgence in play. It's not as clean and easy as Thatcher, and you know, it still takes time and there's still risk of, you know, someone spotting your drone and you lose it before you can grab the Electro Claw. But I think Twitch has seen a significant drop off in play because of the mirror bans, and that's well documented. Twitch was really used to get mirrors, and that's basically what she was used for. Her gun is fucking insane. It's out of this world. So I think that could bring Twitch back into the meta a little bit more. I think, like I said, the simplicity of Thatcher will probably reign supreme over Twitch, but, you know, the L85 is certainly not the F2. Other than that, Nomad, the fact that she doesn't really have a counter is an issue. There was an interesting thing we brought up, actually with Zeronic while in Vegas, about Nomad, in which maybe teams would start opting to maneuver Evil Eyes into some weird locations to zap away the air jabs when they're placed on walls or doorways that are crucial for retakes.
Yeah, but that's all that completely relies on him staying alive.
That relies on him staying alive and you guessing right on which way where the Nomad is going to be placed. You can still use it for intel, but you'd have to conceal it so it's not immediately destroyed. There's a lot of risk with that, but there's also a lot of reward because it could lull a team into a false sense of security. Like, hey, I've got an air jab on such and such door. We'll know if they retake from here and we can turn our attention there. If you zap that away without them knowing, then that could be pretty fucking funny to watch. There are a lot of little things that can be done, and, you know, you could carry impacts, although impacts are used in so many different ways right now that it's kind of a problem to try and use impacts as a Swiss Army knife for every single thing you want to work your way out of. Whether it's impact tricking or rotate holes or damage and cleaning up downed operators, and then using it as splash damage for these air jabs as well. Like, you only got so many impacts, guys. You gotta pick and choose where you're using those. And like I said, Swiss Army knife. But I mean, it makes retakes a little more difficult, but you still have to invest someone close by to act on that. And there aren't. I mean, Oregon is a shitty map. We've been over this, so I think it will. I think air jabs will honestly remove Oregon from pro play. I think Oregon and Villa will be the most two banned maps universally in Pro League. I think we'll see a lot more bank in a lot of regions because it will return into that default, because you still need to utilize a lot of retake potential on bank, and there are a lot of common corridors utilized for retakes. It's just not as fucking regimented as Oregon. There are other ways with destruction and the ways you can set up the map and stuff like that, especially on different bomb sites, where, you know, you can take a different path that isn't the most common and not get caught out by an air jab. Or even if you are caught out by an air jab, you could take the 1 in 3 chance that someone's not covering it. I think, like you said, it'll make retakes harder. It won't make retakes impossible, like Lion did. And, you know, we even said that Lion would make retakes impossible, but people were just using EODs way before retake scenarios. And even when an EOD was active during a retake, there were still successful retakes in Pro League. Like, I'm not trying to justify Lion by any stretch of the imagination. Don't misconstrue what I'm saying. Lion is broken, and I'm glad he's gone forever. But I think there's a lot of overreaction when it comes to Nomad's utility as far as what it will do. I think there are a lot of counters that can be used, and I also think, like, she's gonna be a fringe pick. I don't see her being the most influential operator in Pro League, to be honest. I think she's gonna be, you know, a scenario pick, kind of like Ying is, or, you know, the back and forth between Buck and Sledge for soft destruction, or Capitao, who's seen a lot of, like, increase in mainstay play, but honestly still gets thrown in back and forth between, you know, other smoke operators like Jackal, who has just a far superior weapon and far superior utility, because Capitao's utility literally is the smokes that don't get caught by ADSs, is kind of his thing. The asphyxiating bolts can help, but with their fucked up hitbox thing, they don't really do a whole lot. Maybe you cut off a rotate for 5 seconds. Okay, big whoop. I mean, you can do the same thing with a Claymore and air jab. Like, there's plenty of different fringe ideas you can come up with Nomad to make her influential, but I don't think she's going to be ever encompassing, and I don't think she's going to dominate play in Pro League. I think she gets like a 15 to 20% pick rate. I think she gets maybe anywhere between like a 30 and 50% ban rate, simply because teams will still be afraid, as they always are when new content comes out. The benefit of this as well is we have 3 months to wait. So teams will have plenty of time to scrim and see what the fuck is going on with her, and if they really want to devote a ban to it or not, how they want to utilize her, where she fits in with the team and the chemistry, and what kind of loadout they want to bring. I think she'll get a fringe pick when it comes out after Invite, but I don't think she's going to be as dominating, and I think Kate is going to see a lot more play out of the two of them than Nomad will.
Yeah, most definitely, because Cade is going to shift the defensive meta quite a bit. He's going to make a lot of sites a lot more applicable, a lot more defensive. I see a lot of Thatcher bans in the future when they want to really use him on certain maps. I see Thatcher bans being very prominent on Clubhouse as well as Oregon. Not that much on Bank, just because it really is only the one site. But on Oregon, I really do see that becoming a big factor of play, is getting that Thatcher ban off the board if they are starting on defense and running the Kaid.
So, next question. There's actually only 2 more, so we'll do them both. The first one is from Rambo Midget. Nice name. Will there be a rise in more pro players that started playing later / not at the beginning? And I think there's already been a rise of that, as you can see.
Yep.
There's been a lot of people coming out of the woodwork who did not start off in the very beginning, but however have played for a while. I think there's also a misconception out there of people who have come up, who they haven't heard of before, who have been playing for a very, very long time, that they just never saw, because there isn't that much exposure on Challenger League or lower tier leagues and stuff like that. But I also think, I think we're getting to the point now where there were players whose technical skill remained stagnant, and in the beginning it was good enough to get by in Pro League, because back in the day, in year 1, the skill cap in Pro League was not that high as compared to what it is now. It was still the best of the best, don't get me wrong. There are just better people who have come in, and people have developed and gotten better than when they were, 2 years ago. So I think we're definitely going to be seeing a rise of people coming up, new players that we haven't seen before, who haven't been playing from the very, very beginning. Obviously, with the expansion of the game and new players coming in, people talk about how every ranked season gets sweatier and sweatier. I don't think that's the case. I think the ranked season is just becoming better and better because there are better players coming in every season. I think every new operation, there's more and more people coming in, and you're just playing. It's like the number of people I've run into in ranked and I mean, I don't even play that much ranked anymore, but I used to grind the fuck out of ranked and know, like, I used to recognize the names I was going against in ranked every single fucking game for like multiple seasons in a row. And now it's like, dude, 1 every 5 or 6 games, I recognize one person's name. Like, it's insane the number of new people who are coming up who are actually good at the game. So it's unquestionable that we're definitely going to be seeing a rise, because the people who were entrenched in the game since the very beginning, there's a good portion of them who, while they have a very good analytical mind for the game and maybe have the leadership skills and communication skills to still be competent in-game leaders, might not have the technical skills necessary to carry themselves on a pro league team nowadays. And that's just kind of what happens. So I think we're also going to be seeing a lot of year 1 pros slip into some coaching roles. Like, I mean, we've seen it with Lycan, we've seen it with Bacon, we've now seen it with BC. Whether it was just off of skill or desire to play, there will be a lot of coaches. I mean, Farrell was a pretty good player back in the day. Helby was a year 1 pro who's now a coach. I'm trying to think of a couple others who were players turned coaches. Dizzle as well was a player and then turned coach. There are plenty of scenarios already in which, there are year 1 pros who played, they did their time, and now they're in a coaching role because they still have the mind for the game. They still know the game at top level. They don't have the technical skill to compete.
Or they don't want to.
Or they just don't want to, because like we've talked about, there are plenty of scenarios in which the grind is just not fucking worth it.
it's a lot easier to like just watch in the back and be like, okay, this is where you fucked up. This is what we're gonna fix, and then move on with your day instead of going, okay, I just grinded for 8 hours of scrims. I played like shit, and now I hate my life, and I'm gonna think about this the rest of the day. Like this is true facts. Like this is what happens, especially in scrims. Like you have one bad day, and that's on your mind the entire day, and then you're like, okay, well, I changed up what I ate today. Maybe it's that. Okay, like I didn't drink that much water today. Maybe it's that. Like I didn't sleep enough. Like everything. Your mind starts racing. It still does. I still have that mentality today, dude. Like if I have a bad day of ranked, I still like go to thinking like I'll literally be like eating lunch and I'll be like, I wonder if this will help me play Siege better later. Like I'm so serious. That is a real thing. Like it happens, and like it's just because I still have that competitive mentality with the game. Like I just want to be better than everybody. Like that's how I've always looked at the game. That's how I've always focused on it, and that's how I aim to improve myself. I know I don't improve as fast as other people do. I have issues with my hands that they don't prevent me. Just it takes me a little bit longer because like basically for some reason the tendons in my hands don't flex how they should. And I can't shift my fingers to do what I exactly want them to do, and it cramps up my hands sometimes and shit like that. So like I'll have like a good like 3 hours to where I'm just like top tier of my game, dropping like 10 plus kills every single map, and then after that, when my hands start to like go to shit, it just goes downhill, and you know. So
that must make your job of a low class hooker, giving out blowjobs and hand jobs every day, very difficult.
That's why I just prefer using my mouth.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I got such a deep throat. And get it, Lamau. Oh my god, that was so good. Holy shit,
that was something else.
That was top tier memes. Anyways,
last question. You want to read it, or do you want me to? You want me to start with it, or do you want to?
I'll fucking read it. I'll read it.
All right.
I feel like making casual equal ranked and ranked equal pro league play, as in pro league rule set, might cause a divide in the community. What about you? Also, should 5-stack/groups have separate ranks than solo queue people? That comes from @Mavin with 3 A's, MAAAVIN, Santoast, SANTOAST on Twitter. Mavin, I'm just gonna tell you this. All right, look, this game is an esport. Okay, it should be handled as such. It should be handled as such. I believe that casual is way too casual. A 4-minute round in Rainbow Six Siege feels like a fucking eternity. I'll put it to you this way. I have literally spent casual matches where I played site on defense and I just set up YouTube videos on my phone and watched them before a push happened. Like, I've literally watched full on like David Dobrik videos on YouTube before any push happened. It was like the last 15 seconds. Like, casual does not teach anybody the game at all. And honestly, casual should just be ranked without the prowess of something terrible happening to your elo. That's really what it should be, because it should be you learning the game and you understanding how the game works so that you understand how ranked works so that you can get a rank and focus on getting better. That's how it should be. And the fact that it is just this ridiculous mess of what it is right now is ridiculous. Ranked equaling pro play absolutely should happen. Ranked does not mirror pro league at all currently in the slightest. We don't even play nearly the same amount of rounds. You can legitimately win the game in less rounds than it takes to rotate in pro league. I can play 4 rounds and win a ranked game, but I can't win a pro league match unless I play 7 rounds. I can only 7-0 somebody. I can't 4-0 them. So it's almost double the game. You're missing half the fucking game. And it's ridiculous. I mean, we're basically playing 2 separate games within the same game right now. It's pointless. That's why there is so many questions in Twitch chat during Pro League broadcasts about like, okay, well, why aren't they playing this operator? You know, well, where's Lion? Where's this? Where's that? Why are they playing so many rounds? Who are these people? Blah, blah, blah. And that just all draws back into Ubisoft isn't treating the game like an esport. They're separating the two, and that's not good. There needs to be an esports tab in the game. They need to have more of a spotlight on esports. Last year's Invitationals broke 1.1 million viewers across everything, YouTube, Twitch, everything. We can definitely double that number if it's actually handled appropriately. I mean, we have a top 5 esport in the world right now in the palm of our hands, and we're just babying it. If we actually give it full on miracle grow to that motherfucker and grow that plant, this thing could be absolutely insane. We could be bigger than CS:GO if it's handled correctly. So yes,
I think
that all starts with the casual community and getting them to understand the game. Therefore, that is why I think things should be handled appropriately. And by the way, I also think that casual should be the exact same as pro play, just less rounds, so that people understand it. Anyways, continue, but no bans.
Yeah, no worries. I actually have a different outlook on this, slightly different, not completely different, because we've touched on this on another episode. I think it was the first episode of the podcast. Do I think it will cause a divide? Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, yes. In the short term. But I think in the long term, it will be extremely beneficial for the community. Like you just said, it will increase viewership for Pro League. People will have a better understanding of the competitive aspect of the game. And I use this term very, very liberally, and I shouldn't. No, I use it liberally, and I shouldn't. I should fucking check myself on this. The way the game should be played. I use that term way too fucking much. Because I think there's been plenty of examples so far that have proved that mindset quite naive. I think there have been plenty of examples of teams at the very top level playing in a way that many of us would describe as ranked. And yet they perform well against the best of the best teams. So I really want to stop. I really want to remove that from my vocabulary. I really want to remove saying things are looking like they're ranked and looking like they are casual. And the way the game should be played. I want to remove all of that from my vocabulary because I think that's wrong. I think there isn't a way the game should be played. I think the game as a whole, however, should be... I think the competitive fundamentals, however, should be instilled into everyone. I'm not here to dictate what you should do with the game. I'm not here to dictate how the game, quote, should be played. That's a shitty way of thinking. I really need to evolve my opinion on that and change the way I think about things like that, because that's not a proper mindset to have. It's a very dangerous mindset to have as well. Getting locked into one point of view about how the game should be played when there are plenty of examples of teams playing much more, I guess, loose and aggressive, and it works out quite well. My fear is that the divide will be very wide, and I fear that Reddit, which is a community that I also lambast quite often, and I will not stop lambasting Reddit, because Jesus Christ, they're another creature. I think they will hold a grudge, and I think they are afraid of change. I think they're afraid of what the change will do, even though I truly believe that the change to the rules in ranked will help grow an understanding and foster a competitive environment for all players of the game and in the scene. I think they will hold a grudge, much like they did with the China thing. And we're talking about changing cosmetic aspects of the game. And holy shit, did Reddit throw a fucking hissy fit over that. And they still make memes about it to this day. They still joke about it, and they're still angry about it to this day. I actually think they will honestly hold a grudge to the next fucking level about this if changes do come through, even though I do think it will be the best possible route for the game, for the community, for viewership, for the esport aspect, everything to do with the game. I believe that instilling fundamental competitive aspects of what our esport is into the entirety of the game and the entirety of the community will eventually be a turning point and enlightening for a lot of players and viewers and community members out there. I'm afraid of that divide. I'm afraid of what that discourse will cause. I don't even actually want Pro League rules in ranked, though. I think there is a lot of merit to the argument that people don't want to commit that much time to each game, and that is understandable. I think competitive, as far as the length of a competitive game, should remain where it's at. I don't think we should make it any fucking longer because it's already pretty long as it is. But I think ranked should remain the same length that it is right now. And that's also a weird opinion to have coming from someone who wants things to be competitive. Because like you said, you're only getting half the game in a ranked game in comparison to a Pro League match. What I would like to see is just a mirroring of the Pro League rules and the Pro League map pool in ranked. And yes, I know we're taking away more maps. We're losing a lot of shitty maps, don't get me wrong. But we're also getting rid of the some of the decent maps like Chalet. It's a very tired map, it's a very boring map. Losing Oregon probably eventually. Again, very good map, but very is good and fun to play, but tired and boring and regimented, and there aren't tertiary bomb sites that are viable.
So played out.
Yeah. So I would like that, but I would just like to see 3 rounds straight on each side. You have 3 round halves. Yes, it's short. Yes, it's not a full competitive game. I'm not looking to overhaul ranked to the point that, it's an hour and a half long game, because that, dude, even I would get burnt out on that shit. Let's not jump that far. I would say my appropriate middle ground would be 3 round halves, best of 3 overtime. So literally a ranked game is the exact same length that it is now. However, we get operator bans in the beginning, 15-second ban timer for each op. Okay, you added a minute to a ranked game. Cool. I mean, you're still going to have to vote, and there will be people who fucking want to troll with the ban system. Guess what? There's people who troll in ranked anyway. It's just a new avenue. There are shitty people. I wish there was better moderation for it.
The whole argument for this is just MOBAs. Like, they're like, well, we don't want to institute it because trolling can happen. Okay?
It still happens.
There's fucking bans that go on in MOBAs, and guess what? It's not a collective people banning in MOBAs. It is the top guy in the MOBA in your list. If you guys have ever played Smite, League of Legends, Dota, whatever, when you play a ranked game, it is the top dude that is quote-unquote your team captain banning for you. So if that guy has no fucking clue what's going on, he's going to ban some off-meta shit that makes no sense. They're going to grab a Fenrir and fuck you in your ass. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, but in Siege, it's nice because it's a collective. It's a percentile. If 3 people pick one and 2 people put together, the one that has 3 votes gets banned. Easy. So if you have 3 people that know what the fuck's going on, or you can coax 3 of your teammates to go, look, we want to ban Maverick because he's really good on Oregon, or so on and so forth. Like, you can do that. You know what I mean? Yep. It's not that, or the one that people love to ban or love to talk about banning is Blitz. If you want to ban Blitz, hey, let's ban the fuck out of Blitz. I don't want to play him. I don't want to play against him. And then there's always going to be the thing of, oh, well, people paid for these ops and they deserve to play them. Then go play them in casual. That's it. If you want to play ranked, you're going to play in a ranked setting. It is a competitive setting. That is what it is. That is what ranked is in every single aspect of every single other game that has an esport. Ranked is the closest thing that you can get without playing competitive. And that is what rank should mimic in our game as well. So if you are under the idea that because you paid for an operator, you should just automatically get to play him whenever the fuck you please, okay, cool, go play casual. That's what casual is for. If you actually want to play the game in a competitive setting, okay, cool, come play ranked. That's the end of my conversation with that. So,
all right, jumping back in, I would also say I would like to leave casual the same. I know it's a cesspool of fucking chaos and anarchy and stupidity. Leave it, because I don't touch casual, and you came for my opinion. I don't touch casual. I don't want to ever touch casual. I think casual is a shitty fucking place, because there are no consequences for your actions. Let it be a fucking playground of madness and stupidity, because I have no time for casual. Casual is, like you said, a terrible jumping ground for new players. I wish we had a better solution. I can't think of a better solution for casual, honestly, unless you, like you said, institute an elo system into casual as well, which will also just make it ranked with stupid rules, which would be dumb.
In MOBAs, they have casual elo. You don't know it's there, but it is there.
Well, we
So
have
you play
casual
against-
elo.
Yeah, you play against people that are relatively the same rank as you are.
Mhm.
So if they just institute that, like elo doesn't have to fucking matter. It's casual. You know what I mean? But as long as you're playing against people around your competitive rank, then that's all that really matters. I mean, it's still like an area to go and just chill out with your friends, play some fun rank game, play some fun casual games, and chill out. Like that's really all it's there for. And also, it's there to help you understand new maps and to understand how the game works and how operators work. And that is even as it sits right now, casual is a terrible jumping ground to ranked in any sense of the word.
Mm.
Less rounds, longer timer, 4 minutes, which fucking feels like an eternity once again.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick your bomb site, you can't pick your spawn point. How the fuck are they supposed to know what sites are good to defend if they don't even know where the fuck they are?
Basically.
Like it's stupid. It's a stupid design.
Casual has a lot of issues, and like I said, I don't have the answers for casual. I would honestly rather just leave casual the way it is and profusely apologize to the new players who come in. I really hate that I love and hate the barrier to entry for ranked being level 20, because it's a grind to get to level 20, honestly. Getting through casuals to play that, you're better off hunting for a couple hours to get to level 20. I like that it repels the instant new accounts for hackers. I do not like that it forces new players to journey through casual, because that shit is not fun. I don't have the answers for casual because I don't know how to control 35 million people. And I know that isn't active, but that's the total number of players who have ever picked up the game. I'm sure a great number of them have touched casual and abandoned the game for those reasons. My opinions basically stretch from competitive to ranked, and they end there. I don't have opinions. I don't have solutions. I don't have ideas for casual, how to fix it. It's just, I don't know, man. Like you said, the round timer is horrendous. I guess maybe cut down the round timer to 3 minutes, mirror it to comp as well, and ranked, and then allow people to pick their spawns and bomb sites, and then from there, I have no fucking clue how to make it less of a team killing, toxic fucking mess and primordial soup of chaos, because that's all casual is. And like I said, I don't have a way to fix that. I apologize if you only play casual. I truly don't envy you. I don't. I would much rather play ranked in its current form every day than casual at any point. So do I think there will be a divide? Yes. Do I think Reddit will hold a grudge? Yes, for a very long time, unfortunately. But do I think it is ultimately the best solution to move the game forward, to progress the entire community into a competitive mindset, to grow the esport, to grow the company, to grow everything? Absolutely. So it is a necessary sacrifice that must be made. Reddit will complain. They have complained before. Please, Ubisoft. Please, Ubisoft, do not bend to their will. Do not bend to their will.
Yeah.
I get it.
Just remember, these same people said that Lion were okay. Was okay. My bad. English. Anyways. Yeah. Remember, these exact same people said that Lion was a balanced operator. Just remember that.
Yeah. Don't capitulate. Please put your foot down. Please make the change that is necessary. It will make everything better in the long run. Yes, in the short run, it'll piss a lot of people off.
Yep.
Understand that you're making the game and the experience better for everyone involved.
Also, and for
even
God
those people who will
sake,
complain.
For God fucking sake, can we bring back to where I can see everyone's ranked inside of my ranked game? You already made it to where you can't see them on the main screen so people can't dodge. Why the fuck can't I see other people's ranks on my team inside the game? Like, I understand that, like, okay, sure, like, I can just leave the game, but that's so fucking pointless. And the fact that you took away everybody's stats inside a rank because you thought it was toxic, it's already toxic anyways. Like, you just took away the fact that I can't check to see if the person on the other team's possibly a hacker and that I should report him, because it doesn't even really say his fucking level. All it says is his name. I don't know if he's level 55 and he's a diamond. and he's shooting me through random walls. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to gauge if this guy's hacking or not? Like, I don't know, because you just took away all the information to balance it, to kind of like formulate my idea off of, which is pointless. By the way, second part of that question, do you think that they should have a 5-stack rank as well as a solo/duo rank? And I absolutely agree with that. I honestly think that they should make separate queues to, make ranked a better place, to where, if you want to just work on yourself, then you play solo. If you just want to play with your good buddy, play duo. The bad thing about duo queue and how that would be designed is the fact that in duo queue you're gonna have 2, and then 1. So you're gonna have 2 people that are only gonna work with each other, another 2 people that are only gonna work with each other, and the one off guy that's just gonna be like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, of course, that works inside of MOBAs, because you can duo queue inside of MOBAs. You can even trio queue inside of MOBAs. League of Legends has a trio queue system. So, honestly, I'm down with it. I can see a duo queue system as long as all of them are able to work with their teammates. I would say that for that, if there was some way to require you to have a mic that works, that'd be great, because typing out callouts is literally the worst thing on the fucking planet. So that, and yeah, I would absolutely love a 5-stack rank, because I think it would be very, very cool to be able to kind of take the Black Ops route of it for their rank system, which is you develop a team, you name the team, and I know we talked about this in an early podcast that I shot this idea out there, but you name a team and you get a rank on it as a whole for that team. So if you're a diamond level team, you play against other diamond level teams. You're a platinum level team, you play against plats, and et cetera, all the way down to bronze, silver, copper, whatever the fuck you are. And honestly, that'll help develop team strategy, as well as just how much of a team game this is inside of what we have here. I mean, this is as much of a team game as MOBAs are, as Overwatch is. Like, Rainbow Six is arguably more of a team game than Overwatch is. I honestly think that Rainbow Six is the biggest team game in any FPS that we currently have. So
I'd agree with that.
That's just my 2 cents on it.
For me, I'm a little differing on opinion on that. I think yes, there should be. So okay, let me backtrack that actually. In a perfect world, I would like a playlist where you can queue as strictly duo and solo, and then a playlist where you can strictly solo or strictly 5-stack. My problem with that is it'll split the player base to the point where queue times will be fucking abysmal at the end of the season. They already are pretty bad at the end of the season. At the beginning of the season, in the middle of the season, it's fine because all the new people are in and everyone's unranked, so you get games instantaneously. At the end of the season, however, if anyone's trying to queue at even a remotely off time in your region, anything that's not between, 1600 and 2200, you understand the pain. I think that would split queue times to an insufferable point, especially much earlier in the season. They already get to that point. So in a perfect world, yes, I'd like it. I don't think we're at the point of an active player base right now where we can feasibly do that without queue times actually turning into anarchy. The second part of it is I do not want separated ranks, because that could lead to some interesting issues as far as balancing is concerned with teams. The overall premise is nice. Like there's a good theory behind it, in which that, hey, as a team you get together as diamond. Well, you gotta play a lot of games to get to that point, and as soon as you bring in like 2 new people, then your rank resets. You're gonna have a lot of games in which a lot of players are playing against each other at stupid fucking ranks that they shouldn't.
Okay, so hold on. So you kind of want to take the Rocket League route of it? Okay, you have a dedicated rank to
duo,
just
like ranked is right now.
Yeah, and you're platinum, but your duo could be a gold. So you're gonna find players that are in between that elo bracket.
That would be nice because it keeps balancing.
So you're saying,
yeah.
So basically, it takes kind of like Overwatch does, where it kind of adds up all of your elo and goes, okay, your elo average is this, and their elo average is like 2 off from that. So this makes sense.
Yeah, because
the
theory is wonderful. The theory is that, hey, you're going to have an all diamond team and you're going to work together and get to diamond as a 5-stack in the 5-stack rank. Well, you got to play like at least 25 games to get there. What happens when you swap one person out and it resets your rank back to 0? You're going to have a lot of games where it's going to be a lot of unfair bullshit. So I would rather keep ranks universal, and yet
I
have
agree
it
with
as a
that.
queue system. Like the playlists are locked for number of players you can have in your party, but your rank always remains the same.
I agree with that.
There we go.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
So,
That's
yeah,
the
I
Q and
believe
A.
the ELO average would be
Yeah.
a lot better.
Yeah.
So, and then our last little thing that I just thought that was hilarious
Mm.
on here was hold on,
I really got to take a
One
piss, so make it
sec.
quick.
was Azaraki Dragon saying silence the haters. So fuck all of you that hate Flynn and I. That's just all I wanted to say. All right, cool.
I don't think
Anyways.
anyone listens to a 2-hour podcast, bud. But yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
no, I mean, like, I'm sure, dude. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, the entire time there's like these stupid fucks. Like,
Hey, if you do actually, thank you, because you boost our stats on the back end, which help us with a lot of different things. So if you are hate listening to us and you enjoy hate listening to us, thank you anyway. I love you. I'm not going to tell you to fuck off.
That.
Yeah, continue to do it, please.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I'll
everybody.
do it for him, though. Go fuck yourself. Anyways.
There you go.
All right. That's going to be it from us, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see you guys next Tuesday for another episode of the B Leaguers podcast. Pay
Will be?
attention to the Twitter because we got big news coming up with sponsors and such. So you guys will know in the future what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, we have big expansion plans, by the way, for the podcast. It won't just be audio only moving forward pretty soon. I know,
You don't say.
I'm teasing. My only thing is next Tuesday is New Year's Day. Are we all going to be hungover to the point that we don't want to do a podcast on the 1st?
No, I won't be that hungover. I'll be good
You
by
sure?
like 3 p.m.
Yeah?
Dude, I'm always
All
solid
right.
by 3 p.m.
All right. Then we'll do one on the 1st. So that's it for 2018, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everybody, for following us, at least for the month of December of 2018. Claps to everybody. Hope you all had a great 2018. We will see you in the new year on January 1st. Good night.